the disbursement, utilization, accounting, reporting shall all be undertaken in accordance to PFM. So all projects must go through the budget. All projects must go through public participation. The same way even this IDP, which has most of these projects, already went through public participation. Public participation is that meeting where people will say, no, here we want the road, no, here we want more schools, we want this. That has already been done. And that will always be done every financial year in the budget making process. And so there is no different, unless you created a different entity like NMS, and that is a difference, Chair. There's no transfer of functions, there's no new entity. The county does its county work, the national does its national work. We're just getting additional resources, simple as that. So that's how we separate who does which work, Senator Kamara. Senator Karungo, again, I think on CRDP, I have answered you. It is true that these other cities have a different structure. You know, whenever there's been a debate on whether Nairobi should now move and just become a national government entity, we've been against it. During the constitution making process, I remember leading MPs, because I was a senator then, to make, not the constitution making process, the BBI, when there was a BBI proposal, to actually make a case for Nairobi. Devolution is the biggest gift we've gotten as a country. We are more than 10% of our population. They deserve that gift. But you need to understand the uniqueness of the capital for that extra support in coordination and also resources. Number two, all of these countries that moved, whether it is Australia from Sydney to Canberra, Nigeria from Lagos to Abuja, they left the thriving capital and created another administrative center, which has, you know, it has, and you can see they almost look artificial. They have wider roads, they have, you know, very organized, instead of converting what you already have. So, Senator Tango, I agree. Some of those are different, but some are the same. The structure in SA is similar to Kenya. The structure in India with the provinces is similar. If you look at what goes to Uttar Pradesh or to where Mumbai is, it's actually similar to what we're working on. And remember, when these devolution laws were done, there was that mirroring. The Mutahi Kangu-led committee was looking at that, you know. Because if you compare us with the US is federal. We're not federal. Germany with the landers, Germany is also federal. We're not. Us, we're still a unitary state, but with fiscal decentralization. Now, let me go to the big question. Sorry, Senator Muma. Senator Muma asked also earlier. I agree. Devolution is not a competition. It should not be. There have been weak intergovernmental relations. Some of these ones are done cosmetically, I'm afraid. Some of these platforms do not yield results. That's why we're looking for results and more, you know, support. But I think it is time that you can also look at that Intergovernmental Relations Act, you know. Section 23 of it is what creates joint committees and it tells us to be in those joint committees. Now, how do you strengthen? Remember, there's never been an agreement like this. So, of course, it will not be perfect. It is for the Senate to help us strengthen or to help us refine better how we can, you know, go through this process. You know, there's no precedence of an agreement of such a nature. Appropriations, as I've said, will be done by each level of government. And the Auditor General will still audit what the county government has done, will still audit what the national government has done for the capital city. That audit has not been stopped, it has not been removed from this. Now, again, the agreement is not only for county functions, but also national functions within Nairobi. About who chairs the committee, if you go to, for instance, IBEC, that the Deputy President chairs, it doesn't reduce the chair of the Council of Governors. Or if you go to Summit, that is chaired again by the President, it doesn't reduce. I don't think, for me, who chairs is as much a concern as to whether what we want to do gets done. In terms of balance, I agree, yes, possibly we should have more. We should have equal numbers, you know. But remember again, the feeling, and you could be right because, you know, for posterity, maybe now we're in good terms, but in future there might not be good terms with the national government, you know. So yes, let's have that. If we need to do co-chairing, let's do it. For me, that is neither, it's not a deal breaker, yeah. So long as we actually get what that resident of Nairobi requires, and not all of you require. In as much as you send us from other places, you all live in Nairobi. You all want a working capital city that provides for these issues. Public participation. Chair, I think this is for the Senate to guide. Number one, we've taken the document public participation because we felt, and we could be wrong, that there need to be a document from which people to discuss. What would we have taken if we didn't have a document? So one, we have a document.
Governor,
Number two,
have you ever heard of the word draft?
please allow me to finish. And don't ask questions like I've never heard the word draft. Like surely, you think I've never heard that word?
I'm wondering.
No, please. Just let me go on. So if there's a way we can do it better, let's do it better. But yeah.
Now that you have signed the document,
yeah,
and you are taking it for petition, public petition for tomorrow.
Yes.
If
Today and tomorrow.
Yes. If people reject, what will be the consequences?
We said we can amend the document. Amendment can be delete all the clauses. Why not?
Okay.
I've been in this house.
I think, Chair, you need to introduce some level of seriousness in the responses that we are getting from the governor.
But also seriousness in the questions asked.
I wish that you take this process a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
Because
allow me to continue. Clause
through the
6
chair,
2.
yes, through the chair.
Yes.
Through the chair.
Just allow me to
Anyway,
answer.
proceed.
Clause 6.2 provides that the agreement, together with any amendments, remember public participation, which you've done, which you've done many times, is not empirical, it's not a vote. It is not. Public participation, in fact, people can mobilize and say, let me bring 1,000 people to say we want this agreement. And somebody else says, let me bring also 200 people to say there's no agreement. It's not an empirical process. But it's a process when the law has said specifically, and I need you to guide, the law that Kenyans wrote, that went through public participation, says specifically there must be an agreement. The law has said that. No, the law says there must be an agreement. So do we go to Kenyans again to ask them, should we have an agreement?
Chair.
So, please.
Your Excellency, please have it. Your Excellency, the question is,
Yeah.
of course, the agreement must be there.
There must be an
But
agreement.
this one has already been signed, and you're treating to public participation. So if they reject,
Chair, before the agreement, there should be a conversation. What we are asking is, did you converse with the people of Nairobi that we want to do this and this and this?
Okay.
Are you agreeable?
So that we don't split hairs.
Just one intervention.
You as the
Chair.
committee.
Just one intervention. Just to remind all of us that that law that you are quoting, the Urban Areas and Cities Act, is subject to the Constitution. It is not greater than the Constitution. It is the Constitution that elevates the people above all of these things that you are saying. Governor, I've seen you doing public participation before you embarked on projects. When we had this conversation in the when Karungo Wathangwa was the chair of housing, and you wanted to do Woodley, for instance, we were engaging members of public from Woodley before you ever did the groundbreaking. And then once that was complete, we proceed with the project. Surely, Governor, you know that what you're saying is not true.
Chair, please allow me to answer questions asked. Yeah? Chair, if public participation can be done better, let's do it. Senator Sifuna, you're right.
That's all you needed to say, man.
Yeah, you're right.
That's all you needed to
100%.
say.
I can give you now. You're right. It can be done better. Yeah. But for me, let me tell you, I don't want to split hairs because it is the end for me that is so important. Yes, public participation is important, but I've told you the lack of the empirical nature of participation. Senator Manzo, you know how you people you organize yourselves when there's public participation on an issue that that you're keen on. Yeah. So we will hear what the views are. Already, I've had things that need to be amended. Already, from the public, I have had. But both levels of government then will review what has come from the people. We'll have to review it. But there must be an agreement. Guys, the capital will not change without this provision. Unless you tell me another provision of adding 80 billion or 100 billion to the city, there is, please, provide. If it's conditional grants, do it. You're the Senate. Give it to us. Yeah? Let me hear during the budget policy statement that you've increased Nairobi's allocation by 80. I will tear this agreement. I will not need it. But for now, I must ask the governor, as a responsible governor, who cares for his people, I must find whichever way that will get me resources to sort of this city. I must get it. Lazima I work. You know, I don't have another route.
Order.
Remember, let me give you another example.
Yes.
Yesterday in Parliament, you've discussed the National Infrastructure Fund. Yeah? This National Infrastructure Fund will create around 5 trillion. That is the goal. Already 2 trillion has been identified. This is the way I'm going to plug into it. Because you cannot go to Singapore without Nairobi. Now, how do I plug in and get projects for the city? Whether it is massive road projects, the housing alone that's going on in the city is 250 billion. And I keep asking for more projects. How will I plug into the sovereign wealth fund without an arrangement with the government and a setting where I am chairing a committee that is discussing this every 2 weeks? I have to be pragmatic.
We accept with you and we appreciate that you must do these things. But how procedures has been followed and laws.
Yes, that is where you guide.
Yes.
Yeah, you guide us. Pending bills of NMS, yes, those ones must be paid. The difference, we've not created a new entity or organization here. There is no accounting officer that has been created. If Kura's budget, they get an additional 8 billion. The DG of Kura will say